Jesse, what's up, my man? Welcome to the SABM podcast.
Hey Scott, what's going on?
All right.
Good to
Well,
hear.
yeah, it's been great to connect with you and appreciate you being a part of the 10X Vets group. And you did a great job presenting on the All Call a few months ago.
Thank you.
And you started kind of a niche business. I understand it because, I'm in the space and, what you do is really valuable. And Yeah, but we've got a lot of people that invest in deals, private deals. We've got a lot of people that have private deals. So excited to have you on the podcast today to talk about IncrediVer. So
Let's do
maybe
it.
just to kick things off, would love to to start with an introduction, who you are, what you do, and what IncrediVer is all about, why you started it.
Yeah, Jesse Prince here, class of 2004, West Point. Served 6 years active duty, well, just shy of 6 years by like a couple days. Got two combat tours under my belt. Went to Iraq twice. First was in '06 to '08 for 15 months. Was a platoon leader in an XO during that time, and then came back home to Fort Hood, trained up a troop that I took command of, and then redeployed back to northern Iraq and spent 12 months on a patrol base there. Came home, wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do with my life when I grew up. So kind of floundered there for a little bit, trying to figure out what was next, some odd jobs here and there. And then I had dinner with one of my parents' best friends, very successful guy, and he was just like, you need to you need to get credentialed. I know you want to be an entrepreneur, but you need like a real job first so that you can lean back on that before you go forward and, make any missteps. You can always fall back if you do. So I took that to heart. I also took something I learned from one of my favorite colonels. He said, speak the language of your profession. I kind of fell into real estate by accident. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm teaching myself all of this stuff. And Khan Academy, back when I was learning, was amazing. There weren't all the resources that there are right now, but Khan Academy was free, and I was learning real estate finance. And I was like, all right, feel pretty good about this. And I'm on the phone with people, and I started to realize that the people that I was talking to didn't really know what they were talking about either. So what I lacked was the experience of being in the market for 15 years, because I spent the last 10 years prior doing other things.
Hmm.
One of them was serving the country. So um, I decided to go back to school. I got my master's in real estate finance from NYU. I chose NYU over Columbia mainly because I was lazy. I didn't want to take the GMATs. And NYU said, take one course. If you get an A, we'll consider your application. And so I was like, all right, this is my quickest path. So I went there, I crushed the class and graduated towards the top of my class at NYU in real estate finance. Was luckily working in commercial real estate brokerage at a firm called Stan Johnson Company, selling single tenant net lease properties across the country. So cut my teeth during the day while I was learning real estate finance at night. Made a lot of good friends, had a great experience at NYU, and the thought was bridge the gap of experience with knowledge, start to speak institutional real estate so that when I got on the phone, I didn't have to say, well, I've been in the industry for 10 years. All they would have to do is talk to me and they'd know that I knew what I was talking about. Well, one of the side products of that was I realized that there's a lot outside of brokerage. I wanted to figure out the quickest path to becoming a principal. And the quickest path to becoming a principal in my mind at that time was filling a gap in the market. And that gap that I saw was low cost real estate investing. And when I say low cost, I mean low minimum investments. At that point in time, I was earning money in the brokerage world, but still was not considered an accredited investor because I hadn't been doing it for 2 years. And I was like, I know more about real estate than a lot of people I talk to, and I can't invest. So if there's someone like me that wants to invest in this, and everyone is telling me that real estate is the place to make money, build generational wealth is what I kept hearing. And I would see it. I was on the phone with people that had generational wealth. I was like, how do I get there? So I'd been in brokerage for about 4.5, 5 years there. And I was like, all right, I've got the experience. I've got credentialed, like my parents' friend told me. It's time to start my own thing. And so I really loved the idea of Acorns, the investment app that lets you invest fractional amounts into stocks over time. The Roundup program, it was so interesting to me. And I was like, well, maybe I can port this idea over into commercial real estate investing. So I went online, I did a lot of studying and researching what the market looked like, and I found a couple of platforms out there like Realty Mobile, Fundrise, et cetera. But their minimums at that point in time, they've since dropped, but their minimums at that point in time were $10,000. And I was like, I've never invested with these guys. I don't know them. I can't get on the phone with someone to talk to them. I'm not putting $10,000 in here. But the Acorns model of $5, $10 at a time, grains of sand, they add up. Maybe I can build that. So that was my first adventure in the entrepreneurial space, real adventure. And that kind of led me to where I am today with IncrediVer because I was trying to do a Regulation D offering. And what I saw was, okay, if I want to keep the minimums low, let's say $1,000, and I am going out and raising capital, and the SEC is telling me that I have to do this verification, well, that's cutting into my margins significantly. And so I went out, I called all of these people that were doing this, the third party servicers, and they were like $55, $75, $125. I was hearing different pricing all over the place, and all of them were 5 to 7 day waits. I had just spent the last 8 years of my life building a real estate investment technology where I spent almost every day focused on how do I remove friction from the process. And now I'm about to add 5 to 7 days of friction to my process. That's unacceptable because you have the natural fall off, right? People come, they download your app, and you might see this on Academy Fund also. They come, they schedule a meeting, maybe they don't show up. So that's your natural drop off point. For me, it was, well, this is real, link a bank account. Then I would have people fall off. And then it's like, okay, cool. You ready to invest? Your bank account is linked to the account. Well, now you have to wait 7 days to invest. It's unacceptable. It's just a risk I can't mitigate and a drop off point where I was like, the money I'm going to be spending for marketing to these people isn't worth, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Um, so I am a self-proclaimed problem solver. I'm trying to teach my kids early because my dad's an OBGYN. I did not go into the family business. I'm an engineer. So I'm trying to teach my kids about engineering. And I tell them that engineers solve big problems. I look at everything like it's a problem that needs to be solved. Maybe that's the military in me. Maybe it's just innate. I have no idea. But I literally look at everything as a problem that I can solve. And so I looked at this and I was like, wow, this is a problem I can solve. I spent the last 8 years in tech. I am proficient as a software engineer. And nowadays with AI and agentic engineering, some people call it vibe coding. I like to call it agentic engineering because it keeps the engineer in the loop. Vibe coding just sounds like I'm getting high and coding. So that's not what I do. Give a lot of direction to the AI. But I was like, I can solve this problem and I can do it for cheap. So I literally do what I do. I grind it. And I just sat down on a couch for like 6 months straight, 20-hour days, nonstop. Kids asking me, Daddy, why are you always working? Why are you on the computer? Me being like, I'm building a robot, boys. Someone's got to put food on the table, and this robot is going to help us put you through college. The robot's back there, actually. I don't know if you can see it, but I built a robotic arm and a
Oh,
robot. And the reason I did that was because my kids kept saying, I want to build a robot. And so I was like, one night in my rabbit hole, I was like, all right, what does it take to build a robot? I know this is off track, but it's kind of funny. And so I built an autonomous robot. It drives around on its own, has sensors, talks, is linked to Claude, has conversations with my 7-year-old, plays Spotify. It's better than Alexa. It's pretty
oh
awesome.
wow.
I'm pretty proud of it, actually. But that's for another podcast. So I went to the mat, I grind, I come out with a product, IncrediVer, which takes the old $55 verification 7 day wait and condenses it into, for launch at least, a $10 per verification price point that takes 2 minutes to process, takes the human out of the loop, which in my opinion saves the issuer money. But more importantly than saving the issuer money and saving them time, I feel like this is a return on investment engine, a return on ad spend engine, Because how many times are you driving people to your website and then your clunky onboarding process leads to wasted money or ghosted investors? So I said, if I can increase the conversion rate, even just by a couple percentage points, I'm bringing in huge amounts of capital and fees for these issuers at a low cost. And it's also a great user experience for the LP, the person who's coming in to invest. I don't have to talk to anyone. What if I'm ready to invest today? I don't want to wait 7 days, have a call, schedule it, and then they're going to send me 16 emails asking for all these documents. I could do it in my own time. So that's the long-winded version of how I built IncrediVer. And bottom line is IncrediVer is an AI-powered tool that allows issuers and LPs to do accredited investor verification within minutes.
Well, congrats, man. I mean, this is I mean, a huge undertaking, right? And to like basically build this product from scratch, 20-hour days and you did it. Like a lot of people I mean, there's people like that can actually build things. Like I'm not one of those people. So, like I don't have your skill set, but you actually like built this product, almost like Mark Zuckerberg style, like building Facebook, like he knows how to code, but and he built the product himself, essentially, with the team eventually. But like you have that ability. So that's a very unique ability. And just I'd like to commend you on that for
Yeah,
like building this product from scratch that saves people time and money. And maybe just to talk through the challenge real quick for folks that maybe aren't familiar with the space, but like, and we can talk about it from Academy Fund's perspective because I'm a prospective client of yours, right? So it's like, hey, we have this fund. It's a Reg D. It's a 506C, which means that we have to verify the accredited status of our investors.
that's right.
It can be done in a few ways, right? We can do it in house, and so our CFO is like reading through, statements or looking at W-2s and that sort of thing. That's one way. We can get a letter from your attorney or your accountant or your financial advisor that verifies your accreditation. Or we could go to a third party and we spend, I forget what it is, $50, $100, $75, something in that range. And
It
it's,
ranges, yeah, exactly.
and they do it. And, then it's kind of outsourced that way. Um, and with with that option, you know, now the investor is talking to a third party and sharing their financial, information with somebody that they don't really know other than they're a third party.
100%.
So those are kind of the three options. And once we get the thumbs up, and as you said, hey, that takes like, it could take a week, it could take a month, it could take it a few days, but usually it's probably, if somebody's serious about investing, it's probably at least, with a week or so, right, that you get that information back. And then, there's other steps, but that's the accreditation verification process. And you've kind of like automated this. So like I know I've been through your demo and, you walked us through it. And maybe just if you want to describe that process for us, from the, I guess you could do it from both perspectives, like the potential investors perspective, like what are they seeing? You could do it from the issuer's perspective, how does this integrate with their current platform? However you'd like to describe it, but like let's walk through the process. Like, hey, I'm Scott. I'm interested in investing in this product. I need to get my accreditation verified. What happens next?
Yeah, I don't even think you as Scott, the investor, is thinking about the accreditation process yet. You're just thinking, okay, I want to invest in this product. I've done my research. I'm ready to go. What's next? And then the current model, which I think is broken, it's very fragmented and it's time intensive. And I have to talk to a lot of people as the investor before I get to the promised land, which is giving you money and getting returns. It's 2026. Nobody wants to wait. And in all fairness, not a lot of people want to talk to humans anymore, either. They just would rather hide behind their screen and do what they do, not have to talk to anyone. I mean, you don't have to talk to anyone with Coinbase. You don't have to talk to anyone with Fundrise, Acorns, any of these apps, E-Trade. I don't have an advisor. I go in, I do my own thing. So I wanted to bring the private market capital raising process into the 21st century, which was this. And so, me as Scott, I'm coming to the process, and all I care about is can I get from point A to point B with as little friction as possible and do what I want to do, which is learn about the investment, make a decision, and then invest. I am who I say I am. How do I get there? You as the issuer, you want to give them that great experience. I mean, that's why you make a beautiful website. You have these demos that are automated through Calendly. If you didn't want ease of use for your customer, you would just have a phone number on your site and say, call us, and maybe we'll get back to you. You want it to be an effective conversion tool for you. And so I wanted to make the website from a dead marketing page into an effective conversion tool. So me as Scott, I come to the website. I research Academy Fund. Let's just use it as an example. I see that you guys are doing real estate investments. You're delivering X percentage returns. This is well within my wheelhouse. The minimum investment fits what I'm looking for. Maybe I have $50,000 to invest, but I'm not looking to, for minimum investments of 1 million. You are my sweet spot. And oh, by the way, you are a Service Academy grad and you have the veteran background. I'm in. I'm sold. How do I get there? Well, right now there's a button that says book a meeting, which is great because that's what is the logical next step. Come talk to us. But what if I could tell you, you could put those same questions that they're going to ask you into a form that they then fill out on the website without having to book a meeting? 3 or 4 questions that, based on their responses, tell you whether or not they are legitimate, the right fit for you. Because let me tell you something, as an issuer, I've been an issuer. You don't necessarily want every investor. Just because they have the money to invest doesn't mean that you want that person in your fund. They always say that,
Not all money is equal.
exactly. It's fungible, but not all humans are equal, right? Because like 90% of your problems are spent on 10% of your people. So you want to minimize that extraneous work. You want to focus on doing what you do best, which is deploying capital and delivering returns. So the first step of my process, if someone chooses to use it as an issuer, is to ask the right questions in the form. You can do that in Gravity Form today, or Forms Free, or whatever. But then score using AI based on what you, as the issuer, told it you're looking for in an investor. Score that investor and give them a ranking between 0 to 100, hot, warm, cold. And then if they're hot, alert you right away in a Slack channel or by text and tell you, we got a live one. You should get on the phone and call this person and get them going. But in the meantime, if you don't, the system will automatically present them with the next step, which is cool, you're interested, you're a great fit for us. Now we need to verify your accreditation. So it's self-serve. Right there, there's a button they can press that says verify me now. And that brings them through to IncrediVer, which is branded Academy Fund. It looks like you, smells like you, but it's us. And they put in all of their information, they upload their documents, and then it runs instantaneous accreditation checks. And at the end of that check, let's say they're approved, it gives them a link. Now, you as the issuer, Scott, get to choose where you want to send them. If you want to send them to your investment portal, you're like, all right, well, we did identity checks, we did verification, the AI read it, we're good to go. You want to send them right to an Invest Now button? Put that URL into the dashboard, and that's what will be presented to them. 0 touches from interest to investment in moments without any human touching it. Now, if you want to be in the loop or you want to give additional information, that next step can be schedule a meeting. So now I'm not just getting on the phone with someone who is just kicking tires. Someone who's like, let me see this investment. I'll talk to this guy. Maybe I'm interested, maybe they're not. If they've taken the time to go through the accreditation verification, you know that they are a serious person and you are not wasting your most valuable resource, which is sales time. So it was built as I look at everything like a funnel, right? Everyone looks at the marketing funnel, and I have zero interest in marketing to the universe and bringing them into your funnel. That's your job. That's what you do best. You get them to your website. My job is the second they hit your website, when you capture them, no leads go through the cracks. They have a self-serve path to investment. And I've now turned a dead website into an active lead scoring engine that now tells you who you should contact, who you should put in your drip email, and who needs a call today to send the information. So if you don't want them investing now, because I digressed, I apologize. You can just send them to your data room or send them to a schedule link. So it really is user's choice as far as the issuer is concerned. And as far as the investor is concerned, it really smooths the process for them, in my opinion. If they want to talk to a human, that option is there. If they don't want to talk to anyone, they just want to get down to business, that option is there too. So great user experience, low cost, instantaneous, and that's it.
Well, congrats, man. And I know that, just how valuable our time is, so if you have a deal, you know, a fund or a deal or whatever it is that you're raising money for, looking for investors, and then people are scheduling calls with you and they're like not showing up to the call, like they're not the right fit. Hey, we have a 506c deal, which means you have to be an accredited investor, and they're scheduling a call with you and they're not an accredited investor. It's just like, interrupts the flow of your day. And it's like, my calendar's been blocked off for 2 or 3 hours with calls, and like, you know, only half of them showed up, or half of them were even, you know, capable of investing in our deal or in our fund. And so I love qualified leads.
You know who
I'm a
doesn't?
marketing guy, you know, so I really appreciate what you're doing just because of the time savings component. Hey, bring as many people to the website as you want. Do your
Oh,
best with targeting and marketing and your advertising and your emails that you're sending out, and get them to the website, right? But then there has to be a process that screens these folks before they get onto your calendar, because your time is so important.
100% agree. I also want to differentiate myself from the other offerings out there. Yeah, okay, great. Instant accreditation verification. I'm falling asleep. Compliance makes me want to close my eyes and take a nap. And the second I start talking to anyone about compliance, I see the same thing. The eyes glaze over, and I get it. Compliance is boring, but like issues with regulators is it's not fun. You don't want that in your life. So this really helps with gives you a clean audit trail, but it's not just that, right? I could go compete with Verify, Invest, or Invest Ready, or whatever, the other competitors out there, direct head to head. And yes, I have a better product and it's a better price point. But most people just like are stuck in their process and they're like, well, we're doing this and it works just fine. I wanted to create something that was different and got people from interest to investment. That's what those other companies they don't do. I take it so like you said, I turn your marketing into a conversion engine, which is what it really should be. And yes, we have accreditation, but to me, I view that as just a part of the conversion engine. It's just a part of the flow, not the main event for the company. So really, I really want to be a qualification and verification engine for private markets.
All right. Well, hey, congrats. And just looking out over the course of this year, so it's, you know, March just started as we're recording this, beginning of the year. What are some of your most important goals as you look out over the next 90 days, over the next 6 months, over the course of this year? Kind of like your short-term goals. What are you looking to accomplish? And then I'd love for you to throw in like a moonshot goal too, like, hey, 3, 4, 5 years,
I
50
love
years.
that.
I don't know, however far you want to go out into the
Yeah,
future.
let's
Like,
start
where,
with
where do
that
you
one.
want to take this?
I love that question. I read something a few months back that said, before we know it, you will find the first billion-dollar one-man company. That is my goal.
The billion
I want
dollar.
to be the first one-man billion-dollar company. Now, that doesn't mean that I
You and
fall
all those
short.
robots in the background are going to
I'm
be.
telling you, it's a skill set. And like with the agentic, like OpenClaw and all these systems where you can have real autonomous bots out there. Now, the future is a pretty interesting place, pretty scary place also. You could pull that thread in a lot of different directions. But my long-term goal is I want an exit from a company that I feel good about, that is bettering the space that I care a lot about, which is capital raising. But my short-term goal, obviously, to anyone listening here, um, it is a wide world out there, and I have found that the best way to do business is through warm introductions. So if anyone is doing a raise or knows anyone else who's doing a raise, introductions are the best thing I could possibly ask for. I'm looking for people that are doing 506B which is a private offering to accredited investors, but it's self-certification. And people are doing 506Cs, which is the same type of offering, but since I'm yelling it from the rooftops and telling everyone about it, not just my private network, I have to do enhanced verification. And the reason I say I want 506B people as well is because there's a lot of people that are doing private raises that want to generally solicit, but won't do it because of the pain in the butt that's associated with the process. And so if
Mhm.
I could bring them into the fold, there's, like I said, a wide world of investors out there that are not within your private network that you can open up your offerings to. So introductions, number one. And transfer agents are also a great resource for me. I've had a great relationship with a transfer agent that's made a lot of awesome referrals to us because, look, they've got the issuers in hand, and the issuers are asking them as the subject matter expert, who should I use for accreditation verification? So, um, happy to play nice with all of the referral sources out there.
Yeah, Jesse, hey, let's unpack real quick the 506B versus the 506C
Love it.
for the people that have 506Bs. And so we have a 506C fund, so we can have a billboard and that says like, "Hey, Academy Fund, blah blah blah." We can advertise to the general public our offering because we're going through the accreditation verification process. For me as a marketing person, I can't imagine having a 506B fund. Like how like I'm severely limited in like my capabilities, leveraging email lists, like advertising. Like that's for me is my strong point. And so having a 506B where you're solely reliant upon pre-existing relationships is extremely limiting. And so, and then I get to caveat, I guess to kind of like build upon that idea, the people that you want in your deals anyway are accredited investors. They're the people most likely to invest in your deal because they have the capability to invest. And God forbid if you lose money on the deal, hey, they can survive, right? Like they're worth $1 million, like they make a few 100,000 a year plus. Like it's not gonna like, you know, make a huge dent in their portfolio. Worst case scenario, right? So these are the people that you want investing in you. And so why not have a 506C fund where you can leverage marketing to like the fullest capability to build awareness of what you're doing, and then you're getting investors that like are most likely to invest in your fund because it's accredited investors only. So I mean,
And
I was taught that by
you're
a very smart person that's done a lot of deals. So
it's true.
yeah, so I just wanted to just kind of pull on that thread a little bit for folks, just to maybe think about if you have a 506B deal. And it might be because you're a younger person and it's like,
Right.
hey, my friends aren't accredited yet. I want my friends as investors. And if I do a 506C, it might exclude them, or it's a headache to have to go through the accreditation verification process. And so let's talk to those, maybe those 506B. I know we're getting into the weeds a little bit
No,
here,
it's good.
but
I like the weeds. It's all good. It's not a lot of times I get to speak technically. My wife is just like, you need to slow down. Nobody understands what you're saying. And I was like, I do. So, but this is a fun topic. And for that 506B young person that you were just describing that wants their friends to invest, you can do a 506C and a 506B and get your boys in, or your girls. Um, because it allows up to 35 non-accredited investors. So you can do that. Obviously, there's regulations around that, and I highly recommend you read the rules before you do anything. And this is not legal or tax advice, but to me, the 506C, there's a network of people that have a Rolodex where they can make a few phone calls, and each person's going to put in $10 million. That's not most people. I mean, I would say 99.9% people can't do that. But there's a lot of talented emerging fund managers out there that want access to capital, have great investment thesis and strategies, and can execute, but can't access the capital. And right now, they're left with a couple of options. You got the Regulation A. You can go out and raise money from non-accredited investors, but I will tell you from experience, the juice is not worth the squeeze. You spend a lot of money on regulatory, and unless you are crushing your raise and raising 50 to $75 million, the cost of upkeeping that offering, in my opinion, and based on my experience, is not worth the time that it takes to manage a lot of different smaller investors. You could do the Reg CF, but in all fairness, I think there's some rule changes that need to go with regulation crowdfunding. It's pretty limiting. And so you're left with Reg D 506B, the private offering, and Reg D 506C, the private public offering. Um, like you said, I would much rather an accredited investor in my ecosystem for a couple of reasons. There's a lot of different options for non-accredited investors out there. Anyone can go, and thank goodness that it opened up, previously. Anyone can invest in stocks and bonds on their own and do it for small amounts. Tangible investments like real estate and other like alternative investments, I don't know if they're well suited. I used to think they were, but I really don't know if they're well suited for non-accredited investors because most people are not aware of the liquidity challenges that come from a tangible asset. You can't just sell a piece of real estate and liquidate it overnight. So the 506c, the accredited investor understands that they're, for this portion of their portfolio, going into a longer term, 5 to 10 year hold, limited liquidity, limited management responsibility. They get it. And like you said, if they lose their money, not all accredited investors were created equal. It will hurt some of them, but caveat emptor, they are well aware of what they're doing. They are, in accordance with law, sophisticated investors. That's the whole point about it. If you have this, the law says you're good to go. We believe that you have enough knowledge to make this investment. But they're going to cause you, from a customer service perspective, less issues, in my opinion. And like I said, the investments that we're talking about, the alternatives, are way better suited for the accredited investor. Plus, you want higher minimums. You're not going to buy a $10 million property, which is what a lot of these properties are. You put 5 million in equity. If you put 5 million in debt, it's 5 million you have to raise. You got to raise significant check sizes to do that. And the non-accredited investor, although maybe some of them can, a lot of them can't give you the $25,000 minimum or the $50,000 minimum check. So just from like we said, we're trying to save you time as the issuer. It's easier to get to your target fundraising goals if you have larger check sizes. And so 506C, in my opinion, was broken until IncrediVer came to the table, because who wants to go through the cost and the time and the headache of publicly soliciting and dealing with third-party resources and all of this stuff? Now it is a controlled environment. You, as the issuer, have the dashboard available to you. You have all of the financial information that you need to make a decision on the investor as well. It's great data for you also to use throughout your ecosystem for future raises. You know who's who. You're not relying on a third party. Yes, we're doing the verification, but the data is yours. So I really think that for people who were wary about going into public offerings because of the costs associated or because they just didn't quite understand, we now provide an opportunity and an inroad for them to dive in.
Thanks, Jesse. And how can we help you? What are your biggest challenges right now? Where are you stuck? You've got some big goals.
Yeah.
You want to create this $1 billion one-man company with your robots working alongside of you. It's going to be one man in your robots that your kids help you build.
Well,
But
yeah.
seriously, like how can we, where are you stuck and how can we help you achieve these big goals that you have?
Look, this podcast is an awesome opportunity to just chat about the business, chat about the industry. So, like, I hope it gets a lot of reach. I'll do my best to send it out there. But contact me, Jesse at IncrediVer.com, IncrediVer, IncrediVer.com. Or you can go to the website and set up a meeting. I'll show you the demo. If you want to do a raise, that's great. If you just want to chat and hang out, I'm always open to meeting new people, especially veterans and service academy grads and anyone that served, or anyone in your network. If you think this is a good fit, just send them my way. I promise you, I will make you proud.
Yeah, Jesse, and you bring a lot to the table in addition to just the technology, right? So if somebody's doing a raise, it sounds like you're pretty well versed in securities law. You're not an attorney, but you've seen the show a few times, right? And so I think just help. I think that you'd be a great. I know you'd be a great resource just to help somebody to talk somebody through the strategy of a capital raise or how to structure it
Gotcha.
without them having to spend $1,000 an hour to, you know, eventually they should do that, right? To have their documents created and all of that. But I think you'd be a great sounding board.
Look, to save money in my previous life, I wrote an S11.
Okay.
The, the reason I am here now is because, like you said, I had to get smart on securities law because I couldn't spend $250,000 to have someone write the offering. I had to save money. And one of the ways to do that is do what we do as former service people. We go, we figure it out. If there's a hill, we either go through it, around it, or over it. But we figure out a way to get to the other side of the hill. And so I am more than happy to lend my now decade worth of experience in the securities world to any new issuers or anyone who wants to just like push back on what I said. I'm happy to have a conversation, but I'm here to help. So yes, like you said, I offer way more than just an accreditation service. I offer years and years of experience, and I am in your network. So use me.
All right, Jesse. Well, hey man, it's been great having you on the podcast today.
Thanks, Scott.
Enjoyed the conversation, and we'll put your website and your LinkedIn profile and contact info in the show notes so people can easily reach out and connect with you afterwards. And hey man, here's to an awesome 2026.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate your time. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to chat with everyone.